Hello and welcome to Music News Blitz. Today is actually really interesting episode. We have open mic, which is a new section that we have. And basically it's going to be us talking about what we've been recently into music, anything that's going on in the industry, or just things that are really telling to us and what's going on. But I'm joined by two amazing writers. We got Nisha and Katie.
Hello.
Hello.
And yeah, we're just gonna kick things off, I guess, and just talk about what we want to. Nisha, what has been like in music? What's been like your recent obsession, I guess?
So I've been going through a bit of a heartbreak. So I've been turning to music to kind of help me get through that. And I thought I'd chat today about sort of my favorite breakup anthems. I suppose I'll start with Silver Springs by Fleetwood Mac. I think it's such a good song, and I think there's so much lore behind it. Obviously, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham had possibly like one of the most famous sort of situationships throughout their careers. And there's a 1997 live performance at Warner Bros. Studios where Stevie Nicks just stares at Lindsey Buckingham while singing it. And I think it's just so powerful. And I've been listening to that one a lot. I think In My Room by Julia Wolf is a new song. It's kind of blowing up on TikTok at the moment. And I think it's so good. I think it like describes how I feel so well. This is my first ever breakup. So it's like I'm listening to these songs now and I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand it now. Um, I think Jeff Buckley is great. I've been listening to a lot of him. Lover, You Should Have Come Over, especially. I think that is a great song. And it's quite like gut wrenching, but in a good way. I think he's really able to describe that sort of feeling so well. Um, I think Alanis Morissette, You Oughta Know. I love that song before, and I've spoken on the other podcast about that sort of whole album, the Jagged Little Pill album, and she just gets rage in such a way that is, it's just, I'd recommend anyone listen to that album, just because it's so good. Um, and yeah, she gets it. Bags by Clairo, that's definitely a sad one. I think I love Clairo, and I think she gets kind of that sad girl kind of energy so well. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what I've been
Yeah.
playing recently. They're my favorite sort of heartbreak songs.
I was gonna say, like you mentioned the live versions. For me, when it comes to Silver Springs and Love You Should Have Come Over, if I listen to them, it's the live version because you could just feel the raw emotion and it hits. Like it
Yeah.
physically, like sometimes it will just pain me hearing those songs. Katie, is there any heartbreak anthems that you have or have listened to in the past? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I tend to. I'm quite a sad music person anyway. So I'd say day to day, I'm probably listening to Clairo, softer folk music. So they're kind of more. Okay, that's more like my bass layer music, and I tend to go more to like the Sabrina Carpenter end of things if things aren't going too well. Just like I love the energy she has, and I think sometimes I need a bit more of the like I guess just a change from what I normally listen to. I think it helps boost my mood a bit. So I'd say I probably take things the opposite way a bit. But Nisha, I really like connect with the music you were talking about as well. Like I think basically every song you mentioned is on my daily playlist somewhere. So
Yeah.
No, and I completely understand where you're coming from because I remember when I went through my first breakup, I would listen to just sad songs. Like sometimes Sienna by the Marias would pop up, and that song will just crush me. But then on the other hand, I'm like, wait, it's just a man. Get over it. Like he's gone now. So I will just like have like I'll pick myself up and be like, I'm so over it now. Like this makes me feel great and so inspired to just carry on with my life. Like I'm glad that happened, but it's over now. So I think there's almost like there's like the happy side to Heartbreak Anthems that almost feel securing in a way. I don't know, because
Yeah.
on one side you feel seen, and then on another you can feel so positive in it. So there really is both sides to it.
I think especially with
I
Alanis Morissette, I think she's definitely she kind of takes back the like, okay, well, it's fine, but also you did something bad, so I'm gonna let you know you did something bad. And I think that's kind of where that balance comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, I really like agree with what you're saying there. I think that one song that does like really break my heart, and I can't actually remember the name of it, which makes it seem like I don't connect to it as much as I do, but it's a Julia Jacklin one. And it's about going through a breakup, but it's kind of the other side of a bit. It's when you've broken up with someone and you still really care about them and you still want to see them, but you know that because you're the one to cause this pain, like you can't be the one to comfort them anymore. And I think that one always just gets me. Like if I'm in a slightly unstable mood, I can't put that on. It's the only one that really like, whew, I'm not a fan. I mean, I am a fan, but ouch.
and I think I remember from my first breakup one song. This wasn't really like in relation to the relationship, but just afterwards being in like just a sad state was always Cranes in the Sky by Solange. Because she talks about all these different things she tried to do to make herself happy, but none of it was fulfilling. And I think there's one line where she goes, I tried to let go of my lover, thought if I was alone, then maybe I could recover. And I was just like, it hits. And I'm like, every
Yeah.
time I listen to it and getting older and listening to the song over and over again, I just feel myself relating to it more and more. And it just really hits me deep. And I'm like, and I love how over time that I've listened to it, it's changed as I have changed, like the meanings and everything. Is
I
there any
think
songs that like you guys have listened to that maybe have like changed meanings as you guys have grown up?
Ooh.
for me, I'd have to say, and it is a song that has breaks my heart every time I listen to it, and it is Funeral by Phoebe Bridgers. I think when I first discovered that song, it was so gut wrenching, and it still is. But I think now I can kind of see it as that bit of perspective, and how if things are going on, I can kind of see that it could be worse. I am actually quite like blessed to be in a position that I am. But still breaks my heart every time. I think it is such an emotional song.
Mhm. I'm trying to think. I can't actually think of like one particular song that's really stood out in that way. I think I do. I think I'm a bit guilty of when I listen to artists, I tend to decide what they are trying to tell me. Like I don't take their meaning, I take it to whatever I'm feeling at the time. So I think maybe I have less of that tracked through. I think one song that does, it's a newer song, so it's not like one that's had the years of history with. But I don't know if either of you two are Adrian Lenker fans at all.
I've
So,
listened to a couple, yeah.
so on her latest solo album, the last song, it's quite a long one. It's about 7 minutes long. It's the only song I can't listen to without crying. Like it's horrendous, and I'm not sure why. It's about death again. It's about a dog dying at the end of it. I think that's what like really gets me. But there's just something like musically, it's so bare. She's almost like speaking, but there's just something so beautiful about the lyrics, and I think she's someone that's so good at making really complicated feelings into some quite simple language. And I think there's something just in that song that I don't even recommend you listen to it because you're horrible.
I was gonna, I'm trying to think now. I don't think no. I just tried to think, and then my thought just went to Sufjan Stevens in just songs that
Oh,
break me.
yeah.
I think he brought like a 10th anniversary for an album. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was last year, and he released like a 10 or 14-minute long version of Fourth of July, I think it is, and that song in general, just get me out
I think his
because
entire discography, it just there's something about the kind of the softness of it that
yeah.
you really have to just kind of listen to what he's saying. And it's just kind of like, oh my God, here are the tears.
Yeah, and I think another thing with the 10th anniversary album was he released demo versions, so it was almost like him in a more rawer, pure
Yeah.
form than you normally see, and I think it's harder to listen to than the original songs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Katie, we've talked about heartbreak. Hopefully,
It's a great topic.
it's a great topic, and I think there's so much music to it, but hopefully, you could pick the mood back up.
Ooh, can you?
But what has been your recent obsession? I would say music. Just
Yeah, so I certainly wouldn't say this is a mood booster, but I've had quite an interesting week with discovering Ethel Cain. Basically, she's one of those people that I'd heard of, like I'd heard her name, but I'd never really put the time into listening to any of her stuff. And I've literally become a fangirl this week, and it's just I don't know if either of you two are fans at all, but just the difference in the music she puts out. She's got I'm not sure about the names yet because it's still early days, but there's this one album and 90% of it is just noise, and that was like my first impression of her. And I thought it was really like good music. And then I listened to some of like the biggest singles and stuff, and I was like, how is this? She's gone from this like really really dark like atmospheric music to some quite like poppy big hits, and it just blew my mind, and I couldn't understand how I liked all of it as well. I was like, usually artists like that, you listen to them and you really like them for one particular style, but she can do it all and it's all good.
I remember, I think the it was Perverts, the really atmospheric
Yeah, yeah.
album. I remember listening to it and I couldn't make it through the album. It just set me off edge, and
Really
I'm not,
creepy, isn't it?
it was really creepy, and I was just freaking out almost. But one of my friends on TikTok, he'll just post like random scenic videos, but then it will have one of the songs from Perverts and it sets me off edge. I'm like, I can't watch it. Get me out, because it just sends shivers down my spine, and I can't explain it other than that.
There's that one that really gets me. It's like you can hear like this squeaking swing in the background. Like it's there all the way through the song, and you have to like listen to pick it out. But there's something about that, just like the image of someone just like slowly. Oh, I don't know. Gives me goosebumps even to think about it.
I'm
Nisha.
really intrigued by this because I've never listened to Ethel Cain, and I've got friends that are big fans. I've obviously heard her name and I've never listened, but I'm really intrigued now by this creepy album.
Yeah, I think Perverts, it came out last year or the year before, I want to say, but it's just, I made it a couple of tracks in and I was like, I don't think I can finish this, because all the songs are quite lengthy and they're all quite just atmospheric and eerie and just almost full of nothing at the same time.
Yeah.
It really makes you feel unsettled, and I don't know if I can do it, but
I think I might have to try because I'm really intrigued by this concept of this
yeah.
creepy album.
But you listen to some of her other songs and it's not quite like that, and it baffles me.
I think it makes it creepier because you're like, where's this really like dark part of her soul come from? Like she's got all these poppy things, and then suddenly it's like some of the scariest music I've ever heard. It's just
Yeah.
you must have some deep personality traits going on.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes even just looking at the album cover, it's just very black, but you can see shadows in what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, and I want to stay away from it. I think maybe if I try it again, I would have to do it with rainbows and sunshine,
Yeah, it's
just to
definitely
like
not dark.
counteract. But speaking of albums, I guess one that I've been listening to a lot recently was Blonde by Frank Ocean, and I'm not sure if you guys have listened to it before.
I haven't, no.
It's
I
I was gonna say, it's I don't even know, because I always go through phases of listening to just one album over and over again, and it'll always overtake my life. It'll be on when it randomly, if I just throw it on as background noise, or like just at any if I'm walking somewhere, I just throw on this album over and over again and always really overuse it. I'm not sure if you guys also do that. I just become like obsessed with it, and it'll be the only thing I'll listen to. I'll disregard all my playlists and everything for it. But I think I don't know, because at university, and Blonde is almost just a lot about growing up. it's all about growing up and how friendships and relationships change, I would say, and also just finding yourself. And I think at university, it's a very pivotal moment in your life for that. I know for sure it was for me. Like before I started, I had long hair down to my shoulders, like below, and it's crazy to think about looking back. And I've now got shorter hair, and I'm like, that's crazy. And just how people grow up and change over time, and you experience it through his perspective of what he struggled with. And I think this just comes to pivotal moments where I feel like my life is changing. It's almost like people talk about like a core events coming up, like something hard's gonna hit me today or tomorrow or this month. It's like you can feel something coming, and I'm like, this is gonna be a big part of my life, and I've got to adapt to it. I'm not sure if you guys have any in like relations of like albums that you relate in that sort of way of just growing up.
I think for me, the 1975 by the 1975, I think that was such a kind of it's an album that has kind of stuck with me for like very many years. And I think it's grown up with me, and my meaning behind that album has grown up with me as well. I think a lot of the 1975 albums have, because I've been a fan of them for so long. I think as well, one of my favorite albums ever, The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller. I have it tattooed on me. It means that much to me.
Wow.
Um, and I think that just I feel like Mac Miller, he was taken from us too young, and I think he had so much potential. And I think that album is near enough perfect. And I think I've grown up with that album, and that album has grown up with me as well.
Do you have any sort of relation as well, Katie?
I would say it's maybe less the whole album, but it's a Big Thief one. But you know the song Change? It's the first song on their latest album, but that came out when I was in my second year of uni. And obviously, as you were saying, that uni's such a big period of change, and it's just this really, really beautiful song. It's got the same chords all the way through. It's just about how time passes and things change, and that's a good thing, really. And I remember just hearing it and being like, that's so beautiful. And anytime I'm
Yeah.
feeling like a bit unsettled or a bit unsure of what's next, I feel like that song's just so calming.
You talk about change in such a positive light. Reminded me of Beautiful Boy. And there's a line that goes, "Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans." And I think it's just a like a hard-hitting thing of like I am very busy and there are a lot of things going on in my life, but this is life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's such a beautiful thing to take on with you and to carry with you throughout university, the rest of life, childhood. And I think it's just an amazing concept of change being viewed in a positive light. Because sometimes people are not accepting to change and can find it's obviously very scary, but as people, we just almost have to accept that change is going to happen. So why not be positive about it?
Exactly.
I think change always reminds me, because I'm not the best with change, even in just day-to-day life. If plans change, I kind of go crazy. But I think there's certain change that is almost needed. And I think me moving to uni, like I moved countries not knowing anyone, and it was a change that was so good for me. And I always think of I don't know if there's any Big Bang Theory fans.
Yeah.
But the last episode of The Big Bang Theory, and there's so much change going on. And Penny says to Sheldon that like the only sure thing in life is that it's going to change. And I just think that's just so great.
Yeah. You saw with the last episode of Big Bang Theory also remind me of the last episode of Modern Family. It's like they just come all the kids just leave and everyone's off to different things in their lives and that entire family is almost not separating, but they're still together, but they're onto separate things, and that is the change that's happening to them. So I think it is beautiful to see, but also in the moments can make you obviously quite upset because it's something that's stuck around with you for so long. I remember being quite scared to move out for university, and I was like, "Oh, this is crazy." I'm like, "What am I gonna do?" And then I've just had the most amazing time. And I think my parent, like family and my friends at home would all say it's probably like benefited me in so many ways. But I'm not gonna deny it was very scary in the moment of just like I get dropped off in accommodation and my parents just drive off. Like what do you mean? What do you mean they just leave me?
Living with strangers. It's just like, I
Yeah.
don't know these people.
It's
Literally.
such a
Like
big jump.
like just thinking about it, it's almost an insane concept. You are just dropped off with a bunch of random strangers and it's like but it ends up working out well in such a beautiful way.
I
Yeah.
think that having change, it's obviously a thing that's talked about a lot in music, and I think it's such like a transferable concept because everyone experiences change, like things like uni, bigger life events like that. Like you've always got music to go to because everyone, like the biggest pop stars or like just us, we're going to go through massive changes in life, and it's nice to have soundtracks for that always.
Agreed. Like there's always a home for everything. And I guess like music is probably for us guys is a massive hub of just familiarity. Like no matter where we are, this music is still going to be with us, whether if we're actively listening to it or just relating to it. Because when I listen to music, Katie, I think you mentioned this earlier. I like to think of the artist's interpretation, but I apply it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because whenever I explain things to friends or just in general, I like to place myself in there because it helps me understand it better.
Yeah.
And no matter what, I can still think like, oh, this is going on, but this could also relate to this song. And it's just amazing to, or not to just place myself in these scenarios and be just more understanding of what's going on, maybe in a situation that I'm not fully aware of how it's going to end or pan out.
I think it's also just a bit of understanding that there's other people in the world going through these things as well, because you have that music that shows you that you're not the only one going through these changes. And sometimes by making those feelings a bit smaller, it's actually helpful because you're like, wow, really at the end of the day.
And I think as well, it's great that like music can change as you change, and how if I'm feeling one way, I can listen to music that kind of shows me that I'm not alone feeling that way. But then if I feel another way, the music can change and be like, actually, you're not the only one feeling this way either. And I think I'm like a serial, playlist maker. I have a playlist for every single like really specific thing that's going on or event that's going on. And I think the ability to kind of have music change as you change is it's just really cool. And I love music for that reason.
It's such a timeless thing. No matter what you're going through, it is just always going to be there. And even if songs meant or an album meant one thing at one time of your life, it may just completely flip. I remember obviously talking about Cranes in the Sky, and I feel like as I get older, I just understand that song a lot more. So it is, but nothing about the song has changed. It's just me. But I'm able to understand that more, and it just sticks with you no matter what. So I think that would just be like a really beautiful note to end things off with that entire conversation of change, because I think it is just a really nice topic to talk about. So I think we'll end off there on that beautiful topic of change, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Obviously, you got to learn a lot more about us. So thank you for listening in, and if you enjoyed Open Mic and want to share anything that you've listened to recently or something that has changed you or music that has formed your opinions in any sort of way, please let us know. Check out our website. Obviously, we've got two amazing writers here with Katie and Nisha, but we also have an amazing team that are on the website as well. So you should check out their articles. We have social media, Instagram, TikTok. So you should check us out, and we'll be back next week. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and bye bye.
Bye.